Hello, and welcome to yet another unit of SWK 220 Introduction to Social Welfare. This is Unit 11 Social Innovation and Social Entrepreneurship. This week's readings are from the Graham, Shear, and Delaney pages 158 to 161, as well as the Light chapter, Still Searching for Social Entrepreneurship, which is in Driving Social Change, How to Solve the World's Toughest Problems, and that will be posted on my booth online. Okay, so again, this is another video to frame your thoughts as you read the required text. Light describes social breakthroughs, like a breakthrough cycle, which provides a new approach for framing the debate about urgent threats, urgent social threats, social issues. The cycle is built like the traditional links in a logic chain, albeit with a continuous do, check, act rotation. However, unlike a traditional logic chain composed of inputs, activities, outputs, outcomes, it uses the vernacular as logic chains, but you may see it in program evaluations. I don't know. You don't do it in this course, but I think in upcoming courses you'll do a little touch on program evaluation, and that'll make more sense to you what I was just talking about there. But the social breakthrough cycle involves 9 stages, and these stages, according to Light, are committing to social change through personal purpose and perseverance against potential resistance, mapping the assets and obstacles surrounding success while developing strategies for exploiting the former and surmounting the latter, supporting the potential components of a breakthrough proposal, designing a breakthrough proposal and finding an organizational home for pursuing change, agitating the prevailing wisdom through social entrepreneurship, safekeeping, exploring, and advocacy, aggregating pressure for change through the creation of robust breakthrough networks, disrupting the prevailing wisdom by exploiting opportunities for impact and planning for effects, and securing the breakthrough through formal and informal enactment of the breakthrough idea, whether in the form of significant policy change or new norms and expectation for a just world. And finally, protecting the breakthrough from counterattack. And so, that last point, protecting the breakthrough from counterattack. These things, social change is difficult and not always permanent. So if we look at it from a business perspective, right? So social innovation is it's essentially it refers to internal organizational adaptations to the structure or procedures utilized within an organization to create better social outcomes for service users. They are being innovative. They're creating new ways and new ideas to meet service users' needs. It's a new idea with the potential to improve either macro quality of life or the quantity of life, where macro quality of life is defined as a set of valuable options that a group has the opportunity to select. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Okay, and along with that comes social entrepreneurship, which refers to the innovative and effective activities that focus strategically on resolving social market failures and creating new opportunities to add social value systematically by using a range of resources and organizational formats to maximize social impact. So think of it as a business that has a social outcome, not a profit-based outcome. So now, if we look at a business perspective, you make a business proposal. It's all about profit. and even in terms of technology, um, it's pretty permanent in business. Like for example, a landline, um, or a cell phone. I mean, whoever has used a cell phone now, um, it's very rare. I don't know anyone actually that will go back to a landline. Like landlines, I don't even. I'm sure businesses have landlines, but I don't know too many people that have a home phone anymore. Um, my parents have an old home phone still because they have this, the vestiges of growing up in times where there wasn't a cell phone. So they hang on to that, but they never actually use it ever. Um, so but what about social change? The '60s, there was this big the civil rights movement, the feminist movement. There was this idea that society matured and moved forward in terms of race relations, and gender relations, and all sorts of other issues that kind of came to the forefront during that time. Um, but right now it's 2019. The political climate, especially in the states, they're gearing up for elections. Trump is the current administration, and there's all sorts of um, racist things being said and being done. And so, we think, okay, like the '60s, that wasn't too long ago. We've advanced, and yet here we are retreating. Um, so it's just become unfashionable for people to be outright racist. Except for now. Now there's the political climate is okay. It's let anything happen. Um, and so yeah, there are retreats when it comes to social change. There's a certain oligarchies, or there's a certain hegemony that wants to keep the status quo. Where the dominant culture is the dominant culture, and they are so-called superior, and that's the way it should be because they profit from that. And anything against that is, it would be considered an attack. If we think about colonialism, which is very relevant in Canada, what is it about? Sure, we can make these like truth and reconciliation councils. The government can make these apologies to Indigenous people, but what about actually giving them, the to share the power, right? Is that if we're looking at it through colonial eyes, is there a fear that, well, if we did this to them and we give them our power, will they do it to us? I don't think that's. I think that's unfounded. But there are many reasons why people want to keep the status quo. And but also, like, when we look at social innovation and social entrepreneurship, there are new ways of doing things. When it comes to social services, there's always talk about who's going to be responsible to fund it. Where are we going to find funding for this idea, if somebody even comes up with a great idea? Although there are plenty of great ideas coming from nonprofits and charitable organizations. The third sector, again, increasingly prominent in social policy. But again, the tech sector. The tech sector people are just the people I know in the tech sector. They're not worried about funds. They're not worried about funding. They just create and worry about the funding after. Their thinking is that if we create something that is solid and it gains momentum, then the funding will just happen. What stops us in the social services industry or field, or what stops us from that paradigm shift where we think about funding first and then create programs with funding? Do we because the tech sector is building a product? Is it because, like, we're not necessarily building a product, improving quality of life, is there an idea that people aren't concerned about increasing the quality of life of the disadvantaged? I don't know, maybe. What do you think of that, though? How do we make social change? Um, okay. For this week's chat, talk about what I just talked about here. I mean, why is it painfully easy to reverse social change? Why is it okay that there are hierarchies of race and gender and class? Why is that just seen as acceptable, or something that we can't change? When in business, people just change things, and like people accept it and they go along with it. Cell phones, flat screen TVs. I don't know anyone that's going to go back to CRT, CRT2 televisions. Why are iPads or tablets? Sure, the market's not that big, but they're still being sold. People aren't the sale of desktops have diminished. Still really a big market base. But anyways, I digress. Talk about why social change is painfully easy to reverse, and I will see you for Unit 12. Thanks. And yes, that is snot green in the back. Bye.